The answer to that is, I don't know. What is going on, y'all, and welcome back to MudRunner, where we are going to be asking a question. Will we ever be seeing a game of this particular style, feel, and just general overall vibe again? Now, obviously, the first reaction you would probably have to that is, well, we have SnowRunner. It's basically the next game in the series. And yes, SnowRunner is the next game in the series. I've played a bunch of SnowRunner here on the channel, as you guys know. However, there are a lot of key differences between MudRunner and SnowRunner. Now, obviously, there are a lot of physics-based differences, particularly surrounding the way the vehicles interact with rocks, which I did a whole separate video on that, which you can watch on my channel. But in this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to also visit a map that has been released through Smar19's remastered map collection that is now available publicly on the Steam Workshop. Now, here's one of the things that I would like to see moving forward into the next game in the series. The Steam Workshop making a return. Now, I have nothing against mod.io itself. I just find it to be a little bit clunkier and a little bit less user-friendly than the Steam Workshop most of the time. But before we get into our next topic, let's go ahead and start this truck up and get it all set up and ready to go. And also, I'm going to show you guys some of the interesting features on this truck that are a little bit more common back in the days of MudRunner than in SnowRunner. So now that we're fired up, let's go ahead and move this truck over here towards this gate, where you guys will be able to see, oh, not the horn, but where you guys will be able to see that this truck actually has separate preset lift heights and fully usable any level lift systems. So let's go ahead and reset it back to its basic level. So you have basically the base ride height, you have lift 1, and then you have lift 2. Now, once you turn off lift 1 and lift 2, it basically resets everything. And then if you wanted to adjust the front or the rear independently of each other, you could also do that as well with the any level system to raise it up or lower it down, and then you could do the same with the rear of the truck. And this was really useful for basically not only leveling your truck out as it sits, but also leveling it out with a trailer. And if at any point you wanted to just reset everything, you could just go back to one of the preset lift heights, and then you would be good to go, leveled out, and you wouldn't have to worry about trying to balance the front or the back so the truck would be level. Now let's back this thing up and see if we can get a decent trailer behind it. Now, I'm going to have to give myself a little bit of room here because it's not exactly the largest load-up area. Let's see. Bumper pull hauler, that's probably pretty good. We got a camper trailer back there. We got, oh my god, I forgot about Frog's Pontoon. That thing is so sick. Okay, so I think what we'll do for this one is we'll just do a bumper pull hauler. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top. And then we're going to throw the LJ on it, and we'll pull it a little bit of a ways. We're not going to pull it too far, but we'll pull it a little ways. Now, one of the other things that I really enjoyed about MudRunner was the real widespread modability of the game. And I know that SnowRunner has that modability as well, but there's definitely a difference that you can feel between the way the modding worked in MudRunner versus the way the modding works in SnowRunner, even from the perspective of someone that doesn't make mods, but I've just been playing the series and playing these games for a really, really long time. Now, another thing that let me go ahead and lower those ramps, if we can, oh, there we go, all right. These ramps are a little bit weird sometimes. It's not that they're bad, they're just a little bit different than you would expect them to be. Now, to return to the main topic, one of the things that I think really goes back and forth between, like, when you compare MudRunner and SnowRunner, is I feel like there's a different way that the mods are, I guess, digested, so to speak, and internalized by, whoa, this trailer's too wide for this bridge, and oh god, I'm a dummy. Oh, okay. Well, that went well. All right, we're going to just hammer down and hope that we can get this across the bridge without experiencing some doom. Hang on a minute. I love this bridge. I love this bridge. I love this bridge. Come on. Come on, trailer. Come on. You know you can do it. Thank you. All right. Well, don't worry about it. We just did a skateboard grind across the bridge with our trailer. It's fine. It's literally fine. And now our trailer won't even come off the bridge. So that's also fine. Give it a, oh my god. It's about to go over. Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. All good. Anyway, to go back to what I was saying before, though, about how the community digests mods, I feel like between MudRunner and SnowRunner, there's definitely a big difference in the way I think mods get produced and the way that mods get driven. Now, when I say driven, I don't necessarily mean driven in-game, but I mean driven by, you know, the community and driven by kind of like the player base around the mods themselves. Now, I feel like in a lot of ways, MudRunner was one of those games where, you know, there was always people making different types of mods and different types of vehicles, but it was interesting because, you know, you would have the people that made trucks like this F450 or trucks like that LJ, for example. It's not really a truck, which I should probably unload it from the trailer now because it's like way too far into a crawler trail to be towing anything. But let's go ahead and lower the ramps now. I'm kind of done trying to fit a freaking trailer through a crawler trail. But one of the things that I think made MudRunner really unique in terms of the modding community was that you had players that, or players and mod creators in general that made, let's say, mods like this Jeep or mods like that F450. Now, and granted, I'm sure there's somebody that's going to say, that's not an F450. It can't be. It's got, you know, a single rear wheel. It's actually if you look at the badge, it says F450 on the side. So I think it was meant to be some sort of like, you know, special edition mod that was like created as a single wheel F450. Anyway, the community around the mods, you had people that made mods like this, you know, people that made 8x8s, people that made 6x6s, people that made, like, you know, mods that were supposed to fit into the vanilla game, whereas people that made mods that were supposed to be more around the rock crawling aspect of the game. You had people that made, like, supercars on monster truck chassis, but there was a little bit of everything, and I think a lot of the mod creators, they kind of, you know, they cultivated their own communities and they did their own thing. Whereas something I notice in SnowRunner, not always and not all of the time, but sometimes you see this in the mod community, there are people that will say, well, no, this type of vehicle should not be made for this game, this type of vehicle is the right one, and this type of vehicle is the wrong one. And I think that never really adds to a game, right? Especially when you're making mods. The whole point of modding a game, in my view anyway, is to kind of design the game around what you would like to, like what you would like it to be, or designing it around what you would like it to do for you as a player. And every person's perspective on that is going to be a little bit different, which is why when you have a game that gets modded a lot, like MudRunner or even SnowRunner, that's why you're going to end up with so many different types of mods. And I think that when you start bringing in a lot of that, like, well, this is the right type of truck and this is the wrong type of truck, that's when you start to get into a lot of issues, because there really is no, and I'll say this right here, there is no right and wrong type of truck to mod into any game. I mean, who's to say that, like, take MudRunner or SnowRunner for an example. Who's to say that, like, I don't know, like a Lamborghini Aventador is the wrong thing to put in the game? Maybe it's the wrong thing to put in the game for you, but it wasn't the wrong thing to put in the game for the person that modded it in there, because that's clearly the vehicle that they wanted to have in the game. So, when you think about it on that front, that's why it's honestly always nice to have a super diverse base of mod creators, because everybody wants to make something a little bit different. And again, I go back to that view and that topic of, you know, you run into certain parts of the community that will say, like, well, it's this type of game and it's about this and this only. Like, for example, hauling. Like, oh, this game is only about hauling. Why are you putting pickup trucks and Jeeps and stuff in it? That's not what this game is for. But the game is so much more than that, because if it was just a hauling game, it would have way less replayability, and it would also have way less mod interest, you know? Now, don't get me wrong, I love hauling. I love the hauling aspects of these games. I think they're a wonderful part of these games, and I think that these games would not have become as big as they are without that hauling dynamic. But I think that once you do, you know, enough of those hauls, like, over and over and over again, that's when you want to explore other parts of the game. That's when you want to explore things like going rock crawling with your friends, or recreating, like, the ultimate adventure, or, you know, whatever scenario you want to create. Like, oh, I want to get my buddies together and get our Jeeps and just go off onto a trail somewhere. Without these mods, we wouldn't be able to do that. And so I think that's where that argument of, well, insert XYZ truck here is the wrong truck for this game kind of falls on its face, because there really is no such thing as the wrong type of truck to put in this game, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure that there are going to be people out there that are going to say, whoa, that's incredibly incorrect. There's always going to be trucks that are right and wrong to have in this game because they fit into, they need to fit into a certain framework. And again, it's 100% understandable that that some parts of the community might feel that way, and that's okay. Like, that's entirely okay, because we all have the ability to play the game in our own separate ways, you know? And that's the other thing. I think that, you know, you often see people say things like, well, insert mod here is bad because it breaks the vanilla game balance. But here's the thing. What if that mod that breaks the vanilla game balance never goes on a campaign map and is only used for mudding or rock crawling? Because at that point, A, it's not really ever even affecting, you know, it's not affecting anybody else's campaign save, so what's the big deal anyway? And it's also, like, it's not affecting the game in any negative way. It's only making someone's experience of the game better. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the focus really needs to be on, is making the experience of the game better. Now, to get to the ultimate point of this video, do I think that we will see a game like MudRunner again? Do I think that we will see the series return to a state where it was previously in, you know, a game like MudRunner? And it's a hard call to make. It's a really, really hard call to make because, you know, now when you look at SnowRunner, you know, you have a very, like, I mean, even recently, we had the year 3 pass, you know, kind of get leaked out, and it's like, oh, wow, this game has a whole lot more steam left in it than we thought in terms of DLC support. So that's both a good thing and I won't say a bad thing, but it's a good thing and a thing that I also question, because it makes me wonder where the future of this series is going and whether or not we will see a title like MudRunner again. Now, obviously, the inclusion of the game and the mods on consoles is also, it's weird. It's both a good thing and a complicated thing, because, you know, while mod creators don't necessarily need to put certain mods on console, there's a lot of them that genuinely want to, because there's a part of the community there that really wants to be able to enjoy those trucks. And that's, you know, that's a good thing. I'm so glad that SnowRunner brought the mods to console and brought the ability to enjoy them to the console players. Minus, at the current moment in time, you know, the Switch, which we haven't heard anything about. We didn't hear anything about it in the last community update, which I was quite frustrated by, because, again, let's not forget that they said that those were coming with Season 7, and then when Season 7 came out, they were like, what do you mean these are coming with Season 7? Huh? But no, and then they were like, well, maybe the end of the year, we'll see. And then they didn't really mention it again. And they hyped it up. It wouldn't have even been that big of an issue if they hadn't hyped it up to the Switch players, but they did. And then once they hyped it up, the Switch players were, rightfully so, all saying, bro, you said we'd have mods. Where are they? Now, if you go on mod.io and you actually look under Switch mods, they're there, they're getting approved. We just haven't heard anything at all about the functionality. Now, I know that I've gotten a little off the rails in terms of the initial topic of this video, but I think that all of these topics are important to cover and think about in the grand scheme of whether or not we will see this series return to a place like it had with MudRunner. And the answer to that is, I don't know. I would like it to. I would like to see a lot of the mechanics of MudRunner return. I would like to see a lot of the stylistic feel of MudRunner return. And I would like to see something like, you know, the Steam Workshop return, but I also understand that having the Steam Workshop would kind of make it so that you wouldn't be able to enjoy the mods on console without having a different, you know, mod delivery system, and so that's kind of why they need to have mod.io. So at the end of the day, it's kind of a little bit of a complicated mess, so to speak, but let me know in the comment section down below where you would like to see this series go in the future, whether or not you would like to see it return to a MudRunner-like state. And with all that being said and done, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.